My name is Kerry McClurg, and I have hereditary spastic paraparesis, HSP for short. HSP is a rare neurological disease that affects the muscles. It makes them both tight and weak, and for me it causes spasticity in my movement. So with my feet, when I take a step down, I kind of get some little shuddering going throughout my legs when I move. When I was born, I had zero symptoms of this disease. It wasn't until I was about 12 years old I had outgrown my growth spurt, but I hadn't outgrown that awkward tripping and falling type of phase. So one day when we were at a little family get-together, my mom had me walk for her cousin and his friend, who were a podiatrist and orthopedic surgeon respectively, and they both agreed that my awkward tripping was because of a need for lifts, and if I got little lifts then it'd pull up my ankles and I'd walk like a normal person. So with that recommendation, we made an appointment for me to see an orthopedic surgeon, and instead of prescribing me with lifts, he ended up diagnosing me with cerebral palsy. An orthopedic surgeon should never be giving a neurological diagnosis like that. He told us that we were welcome to go and see a neurologist, but ultimately it would be a waste of time and money because they were just going to agree with his diagnosis. He prescribed physical therapy and indicated that my walk would not get worse unless I didn't do my physical therapy, and then there was the potential for it to get worse. So definitely a conflicting message coming out of him there. But regardless, we went home. I whipped out our encyclopedia once I got home and looked up cerebral palsy. Nothing that this man said about cerebral palsy was reflected in that book. I then went online and started trying to find anything I could about cerebral palsy. And the internet was still pretty young at this stage, so there wasn't that much available online, but none of what I could find backed up what this man was telling about the way that he had diagnosed me. So regardless, I went to PT, I joined the track team, and this combination was great for me. I felt a lot stronger, I wasn't tripping or falling as much, and it was a good combination for a while. Until some point in my high school career when I was on the cross country team, and I just noticed that every year my legs were feeling heavier and heavier. Also every year my 5K time was getting progressively worse. I just blamed myself for this because I wasn't doing my PT like this doctor had said. So clearly that had to be a reason why it was getting worse. Regardless of the fact that I was running 90 minutes a day, 5 days a week, who cares about that? You're not doing your PT, that's why you're getting worse. So for the next 7 years or so, I just kept telling myself this lie until finally a really good friend of mine pulled my head out of the sand and convinced me to go to a doctor to get a second opinion. So the doctor that I went to got me a prescription to go to a neurologist, and through that 2-year journey of working with a neurologist, eventually we kind of whittled things down and gave me basically a symptomatic diagnosis of hereditary spastic paraparesis. There was nothing in my test that really pinpointed it. All my tests just kind of ruled out larger issues like cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis, things like that. Eventually, I got a new neurologist, and she recommended that I get genetic testing done. And so with this genetic testing, I got the firm diagnosis that yes, I do have HSP, but within it, I actually have type 5. I've got SPG5, hereditary spastic paraparesis, which means that I've got a recessive form of the disease. So most likely I would not be passing the disease on to any children. also, this form of the disease is only going to affect my lower limbs, meaning the worst that it can do to me is make me reliant upon a wheelchair for my mobility in the future, which I'm totally fine with that fact. So with that information in mind, I was just so reassured having that firm diagnosis. There's something about getting a diagnosis that, even if the issues that you're facing aren't going to change, because there's no cure for HSP. I can't do anything about it at this point. Just having a name gave me such a reassurance, and it also allows me to look online and find out more information, find out what to expect, and also sort of branch out and get a support group of other people who have this rare disease. I don't know anyone in person, but I have found people on social media, and so it's just kind of nice to be able to share what I'm going through with other people and hear what other people are going through as well, and be able to see myself in some of them, and vice versa. So I'm looking forward to sharing part of my journey with everyone here. There's a lot that I can do. There's a lot that I can't do or just can't quite do the same way. But those are the types of things that I'm looking forward to sharing.